Good morning, guys and ladies. It's August 14th, hot as blazes, clear skies. We got a tropical storm coming in tomorrow or the next day. I'm still kind of fighting this COVID thing, trying to get over it and get back up to speed, so I'm still dragging a little slow. So I thought I'd come out here on the lake today just for a little while. I'm actually on a local lake close to my house called Lake Ammonia. I don't know if you can see around me, but this place is a natural Florida lake, and it is nothing but solid lily pads and grass and weeds for as far as you can see. Just flipping heaven. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get out here for a little while today, see if I can show you guys how to catch a few bass on these natural Florida lakes. There's quite a few of them down in this part of the country. I'll show you kind of where you can find some of these bass and how you can catch them this time of year, just to get out close to the house and do something a little different this morning and try to take it easy and see what the day brings. So you guys hang with me, and we'll see if we can locate a fish out here in this bright, sunny, hot, weedy lake. All right, guys, I ran the lake real quick this morning, and I don't know if you can see over my left shoulder here, but this is what we're looking for. Summertime, it's hot in these natural lakes. You know, they're kind of bowl shaped, but usually out in some section of it you got some deeper water. And what a lot of these bass do in these natural lakes in the summertime, especially mid to late summer, is they pull out to the last 10 feet or so of the edge of the lily pads and the grass. And a lot of these lakes get this coontail moss. You can see it up here on this point behind me. They get these big patches of coontail moss. They're something that looks like coontail moss. I don't think it's actually coontail, but it looks very similar. It's kind of a red colored grass that looks like it, and it'll top off right out in front of the edge of the lily pads. And what happens is once it tops out and gets a good canopy on it, a lot of these bass will move out to the edge of the pads and get up under that coontail and live in that grass where they got some oxygen and some shade, and they're closer to the bait fish and deeper water. So there's a lot of people out here fishing this morning. Might be a little bass club tournament going on. So we're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna flip with, I'm gonna pull out my flipping stick, and we're gonna do a little flipping with a stick bait instead of creature bait, and we'll see how that does. But I've done really well in tournaments doing that. Won several tournaments on some of these natural lakes. So we're gonna get out here this morning and just see if we can catch some, and see if it'll work out here. The grass is not as topped out as I'd like for it to be. Some years it tops out better than other years. This year it looks a little thin, but we're gonna give it a go and see what we can do. All right, guys, I'll show you what my flipping setup looks like. So I use these Lew's Magnum heavy cover 7-foot 6-inch rods. These are my favorite flipping rods. And what I flip with is I actually flip with 50-pound test yellow braid. This is the spider wire braid. And when I'm flipping in this coontail and these lily pads, you don't need a great big heavy weight. So I usually use about a 1/2 ounce, maybe just a hair bigger than a 1/2 ounce, and that's usually all you need to get down through that. And what you'll find is that even though it's hot as blazes, a lot of these bass are actually only a foot or two under the surface. So a lot of times, you know, I'm not looking for the bait to go streaming off down to the bottom of the lake 90 miles an hour. I want to flip it in there and kind of hold it suspended just underneath the cover and get those fish to come up and hit it. So I use this yellow line, guys, because flipping, it's imperative to know where your bait is, what your line's doing, so you can see those bites. A lot of times you just notice your line bounce when you're dropping it, and you want to be able to see where it is. So I do that. I usually color the last little bit with a marker. I've been a little lax. I haven't had my flipping stick out in about a year now. I haven't been on this lake in over a year. So I haven't colored my line up. It's starting to get a little bit yellow. But guys, I don't know that hardly ever makes a difference. The water's pretty clear in these lakes, but it's always a dark colored water. I got bass striking along the edge of this grass already, so maybe we'll catch some this morning. But a dark colored 5-inch stick worm, that's what we're gonna flip with today. There you go, guys. Not a monster, but you know, we've only been 10 feet. Got the first one in the boat. Tore up my worm. There you go, little 5-inch stick worm, first bass of the day. Look how dark they are in these natural Florida lakes. Well, they're pretty. Maybe we get a big one today and see what he looks like. There you go, guys. Just another little guy, but hey, you know what? He's a little bigger. Growing. Come on, be still. Another pretty little black Florida natural lake bass. Kind of out of the camera, aren't I? Here we go, guys. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're looking for right there. Whew. There we go. Much better fish there. That's a good stocky 3-pounder, maybe 2.5, something like that. So, guys, I've only been out here about 20 minutes. I've caught 3. I've missed a couple more because I'm so out of practice, and these fish are hitting this bait and making a beeline for the boat with it in the grass. So when I'm setting the hook, I don't know if you've noticed, I go to set the hook and the fish is already halfway to me, which is why I missed a couple, because I'm getting a pretty poor hook set. Maybe I'm out of practice and just not setting the hook as quick as I usually do. But guys, I'm gonna have to take a break for a second. This heat's getting to me and I'm still not fully recovered, so I'm gonna sit down in the shade for a minute and then resume this in a few seconds. But guys, you can see how well this works. There's quite a few guys out here, looks like they're fishing a tournament, and I haven't seen any of them catch any yet. Doesn't mean they haven't, because I just may not have noticed. But if I did this all day, you know, if you did this during the tournament hours and, you know, really worked it slow and good, you can put together a pretty nice sack of fish doing this. And that's a little trick that surprisingly a lot of people don't do. I think a lot of people are just overwhelmed by the amount of grass and just don't take the time to stick with it and use a bait that's a little bit different than what everybody else is using. But there we go, guys, another little bass. Not a monster, but you know what? You get the idea. And you can catch some really nice ones doing it. Alright guys, there you go. Here's another one. Not monsters, but you know, just to have a little fun, actually catch some fish. A good way to do it. That joker had swam all the way out to under the boat with me peeling around, not thinking I had a fish on there. Well, I tried to just sling him up in the boat for you guys, but I knew I didn't have him hooked. It's amazing how far these fish can swim through that grass towards your boat without actually pulling your line tight. You don't realize that they're coming out here underneath you. Go to set the hook and you're just snatching through a lot of grass. And I'll tell you guys, when I do this, or when I used to do this in tournaments, if I threw a bait in this grass and it did anything at all, if it stopped, if it got heavy, just always set the hook. If you're in a tournament, don't do what you see me doing, checking to see if it's a fish. Just don't even do that. Just set the hook. All right, guys. Hook sets are free, right? All right, guys. Let me show you guys what I'm fishing. I don't know if you guys can see that and get a good look at it from the glare, but that is, it looks like coontail moss. I'm not positive that that's exactly what it is, but it certainly does look like a version of coontail moss. But that's what we're fishing in, guys. That's what we're flipping on the edge of these big lily pad fields out here on this lake, and it works. So guys, I'd love to stay out here and fish around all day and catch you guys some nice big ones to look at, and put together a big old sack of bass. But you can see over my shoulder I got a pretty good rainstorm headed this way, and honestly, I'm just not up to this yet. I'm out of breath and struggling in this heat. I've been out here about an hour and a half, and we've caught a limit of 5 bass. Had that one about 3 pounds. I've probably lost 3 or 4, but I just was piddling around, didn't set the hook when I should have. So as you can see, guys, this is a great way to get out here and catch some bass. This pattern holds up in most of these Florida lakes in the summertime. If it has a coontail growing next to the deep water, usually that coontail will grow between those lily pads and the water that's too deep for it to be in. So you're flipping in, gosh, sometimes it's 6, 7, 8 feet deep in the edge of this coontail grass, and a lot of big fish will live in that in the summertime. And if you get out here and use something a little different than everybody else does and stick with it, it's a good way to catch a nice mess of bass. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I wanted to get out and do a little crappie fishing, but just didn't have the energy to drive that far today, and I'm going to get out of this heat and go back to the house and relax. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you as soon as I can get back on the water.